Do you think you could be psychic? Or do you think it would be cool to be psychic, but you have never experienced such a phenomenon in your life, and so you assume that you are not psychic? Do you think that psychic abilities are extremely rare in humans? If you're curious whether you could be psychic, then you'll like this video. To answer whether you could be psychic, I will be giving you 3 key ways to know if you are psychic, whether you have experienced psychism or not. Let's start with the belief that psychic abilities are rare. It still seems to be quite common to think that psychic abilities are rare. In fact, I was just recently watching The Deep End, the Hulu docuseries on Teal Swan. This notion of psychic abilities as rare seemed to be prevalent. I disagree. In fact, I've seen hundreds of people open psychic abilities that they didn't even know they had. I've witnessed this by training them myself. I would love for us to decondition ourselves from the notion that psychism is extremely rare. Also, I would love for us to decondition ourselves of the notion that psychism is impractical or even unsafe. One of the reasons that people believe that being psychic is only for very special people comes from what is implied when a psychic proclaims that they were born psychic. I don't dispute that this person was born psychic. I only dispute the implication or inference that being born psychic is rare. I'll expand on that thought. Some people say I was born psychic to intentionally imply that they are rare and special, to command authority over others. Not all people who say I was born psychic have such intentions. I have heard people state it as a simple fact of their experience, and to my ear, they were not implying anything more. It is a matter of discernment. However, usually there are more contextualizing statements that make it clear of their claims of specialness. And in fact, I have heard a very popular spiritual teacher claim to be the most psychic person on the planet. Quite frankly, making such a claim is narcissistic gaslighting. Second, a person could hear I was born psychic and infer that the psychic is exceedingly special, even if the psychic had no intention of implying this. The important takeaway here is that, in essence, everyone is born psychic. Psychism is a communing with and perceiving in the psychic realms, the subtle realms of energy. Babies and children naturally experience this. Most people are conditioned to stop paying attention to the psychic field as we grow up. Therefore, the perception goes dormant. And there is so much to why psychic gifts go dormant and stay dormant, but I will share just one reason why this happens to so many people. Everyone knows that we are living in the shadow of centuries of emotional abuse by religious and political institutions. These entities are threatened by personal spiritual sovereignty, by a person being magical all on their own. Now, I'm a product of the Western world in this life, so I'll use just this one example. Both in Europe and in the Americas, outside of organized religion, there is a deep history of spirituality based in ancestry, nature, and personal experience. Many of these ancient spiritual practices involve personal manifestation and magic, which utilizes the natural spiritual abilities of the individual. This type of practice encourages a direct and personal experience with creator energy. It isn't difficult to imagine how such individuated spiritual sovereignty is a threat to religious power. Religion steps in and drives a wedge between humans and God. Religion created fear, persecution, shame, terror to revoke the common person's connection to personal spiritual sovereignty. If you can manifest your survival needs, then you are less afraid and fearful of the church and the state. Church and state have a habit of convincing us we are weak. So, yes, I have a sense that part of the reason we believe psychism is either rare or unsafe is because we are still under the spell of ages of persecution. I don't want us to fall back into that, do you? So let's find out if you are psychic, and then let's claim our spiritual sovereignty, because nobody has the right to stand between you and God. So suffice it to say, I have the perspective and real life experience that being psychic is natural and much more common than people think. Let's start with a reframe and repair of what exactly psychic abilities are. The intuitive and creative frequencies are very close to the same energetic signature. You might think of it as a universal portal that you access. And if you would like to engage in a short exercise with me now, I invite you to close your eyes and deeply receive this imagery I am suggesting for you. And as you close your eyes, take a nice big deep breath, cleansing. Imagine or sense that you are approaching a cosmic portal, whatever that means for you. You open it or it opens for you. When you walk into this portal, imagine that you take one step forward into the space. And now you can go to the right or to the left. Imagine or sense that going right is moving into the frequency of creativity. Going to the left is moving into the energy frequency of intuitiveness. And if you are standing somewhere down the middle of this space between creativity and intuitiveness, there's a blending of the energies, a marriage. Now, if you're wondering, what about psychic abilities? Where is this in this space? Well, psychism is like the door, the portal opening to this place. So if you have joined me in this imagery, you're welcome to open your eyes again. Intuitive, also known as psychic, sensing is as natural as creativity. And so intuitive abilities are as varied as creative abilities. So yes, perhaps certain people have more inclination to certain kinds of psychic prescience. Let's consider music as an example. Everyone who can hear or kinesthetically sense is on the spectrum for being musically talented. It's true. If you're thinking, I can't sing or play an instrument, or I know people who can't, remember how it feels to enjoy music. That ability to feel a different state because you are connecting to music puts you on the spectrum of musical talent. Now consider someone like Christina Aguilera. I remember seeing a documentary package on Christina, and when she was very little, she was known as the little girl with the big voice. She began singing at age 3 or 4 and began winning contests at 8. Christina has a certain prescience as a creative artist that showed in seemingly undeniable ways when she was very young. Now, does that mean that is the case for all singers? Perhaps some people never try singing until they are teenagers or young adults, and then they discover, when they really see what their voice can do, that they do have natural talent. And that talent can be developed into a skill or not. Connecting the metaphor back to the psychic prescience, perhaps you are thinking, well, I'm past teen and early adult years, and I have never experienced psychic evidences. Remember, we have come up in a paradigm that, at the very least, does not encourage psychic abilities and, moreover, has 1,000 ways to shame or frighten us from the possibility. Talents are realized through nature and nurture, possibly equally. So if you are nurtured to fear, reject, or ignore the possibility of psychism, then it stands to reason that the talent would be repressed and made to lay dormant. Now, here are 3 ways to know if you are psychic. I invite you to contemplate these points as I lay them out for you, and even after the video. Contemplation is an experience of allowing your body to receive the information and then noticing it bubbling up to your creative mind, your right brain experience, engaging your third eye. Contemplation is different from analysis and logic. Contemplation is the neighbor to both meditation and creative focus. It's somewhere in the middle, like that space we occupied, down the center of creativity and intuitiveness. Contemplation engages your auric field more completely than does analysis. The following is a list that doesn't need to resonate with you in its entirety. If you feel one point and not another, then you could still move forward in the discernment that you may be psychic. And of course, this is not a complete list by any means. The first way you can know if you are psychic. When you were a child, whether you have strong memories or not, you played and imagined colorfully. Believing in what adults called fairy tales was so natural. It wasn't even a belief. It was just how the world is. You felt life in your toys and in the games you played. You created worlds when you played, whether you played alone or with peers. It was real. It was your truth. That was your untarnished intuitiveness. That was you engaging in the psychic field and interacting with real spirit entities, real timelines as in the ones that exist in the Akashic records. And you were seeing the real psychic field. Not everyone recalls seeing Grandpa at the end of the bed saying goodbye on the day he died. But first of all, not remembering it doesn't mean it didn't happen. It may have been just that it was so normal for you as a child. And second, seeing dead grandpas is not the only way to be psychic. Perhaps as a child, your untarnished psychic abilities may have specialized in channeling rainbows from the 5th dimension. The second way you can know if you are psychic. You have experienced magic in your life. Magic in the forms of synchronicity, surprising manifestation, or a sense of knowing something was going to happen before it happened. Or perhaps you had fleeting experiences of seeing something out of the corner of your eye. Maybe much more frequent or significant phenomena, even if you don't know how to control or to conjure the experience, it is still real. And if you have an inner dialogue, a sort of conversation partner that you listen to and talk to when you need help. I mean, sometimes people even talk out loud to themselves, to this inner character. That is a sign of being connected to your spirit guides. That is a kind of mediumship. The third way you can know if you are psychic, you are fascinated with the idea of being psychic. You could close your eyes now, take a deep breath and clear your mind, and daydream about how cool it is to be psychic, to be connected in an exciting and intimate way with the universe. You can imagine deep sensing and seeing, and it feels exhilarating. It feels free and fun. And it's a childlike quality that perhaps you long to have in your life. That feeling is resonance. This is your spirit telling you, yes, you are psychic. You can take the journey to decondition yourself of fear, confusion, or disbelief in psychism. You can take back your personal spiritual sovereignty. And you can foster dormant psychic abilities. Remember, it is a journey, so take it one inspired step at a time. Stay in resonance with your excitement, joy, and freedom. That resonance will carry you forward. Thanks for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.